Welcome aboard. Make sure to slide all the way over to the left, making room for all our friends and explorers today. Once you get seated, get comfortable. That's your spot for the rest of the safari. There's no changing seats once we leave. If you're sitting on the right, watch your hands, arms, feet, and legs. The doors will be slided closed. Asante, sound ready. Jumbo everyone, my name is Taylor. I'll be your spray guide today. So a few reminders before we make our way into the reserve. For your safety, you must remain fully seated with your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the truck at all times. This is a very bumpy road. If you have little ones sitting in your lap, totally fine. If they're in the seat beside you, that is also fine. Just make sure they're staying in the same seat throughout the entirety of our safari. That means no standing, no holding kiddos up in the air, no passing them from grown up to grown up or from one side of the truck to the other. Everyone on board, and I do mean everyone, must remain fully seated the entire time we're out here on the reserve. If you're taking photos or videos, hold on to those phones and cameras nice and tight. If you lose anything, let me know. I'll do my best to make sure you get it back. Just can't promise it looks the same as when you lost it. Our first stop today is the Little Cherry Forest. Animals that live here like to hide and blend in super well, so keep a good eye out as we go along. Over to our left-hand side on the hill, there's a saddlebow stork hiding behind the bushes, and then there are also greater kudos. The saddlebow stork gets their names because it looks like they have a little saddle on their beak. Unlike most birds, they don't have vocal cords, so they rattle their beaks around to communicate with one another. Now the greater kudos here are female greater kudos because they don't have horns, only the males do. But both male and female rely on their sense of hearing rather than their sense of sight. If you look over to the right real quick, you'll see the okapi in that corner. The okapi is striping on their legs very similar to a zebra, but they're actually the closest relative to a giraffe. Both okapi and giraffe have very long tongues and very similar facial features. Now there are a few more greater kudos a little bit closer to us, but there are also bongas here on the left. The bongo is also called the ghost of the forest because they're rarely seen, and with the way their horns lean back, they get through thicker underbrush undetected. They do get scared quite easily, and when they get scared, they run and hide. But they only have the front half of their bodies because the back half is a little shorter. If you look back over to the right at the very top of the hill, there's a second saddlebow stork. The females have yellow eyes and the males have dark brown, almost black eyes, and really, that's the only physical difference between them. They both have a wingspan of 6 to 7 feet. They also have incredibly long legs that helps them get through water. Back over to our left-hand side, that's a black rhino lying down. A black rhino is actually gray in color. That applies to white rhinos too. One of the main differences between them is that upper lip shape. Black rhinos have a more pointed upper lip, while white rhinos will have a wider one. The reason we call them black is because they're usually around a lot of dirt and soot, and they tend to get covered in it. They're also thought to be solitary creatures, but they'll usually just socialize at night in pretty small pairs. Meanwhile, white rhinos tend to socialize all day in pretty large family groups. We're going to leave Little Cherry and make our way into the Safi River. Animals that live here will either completely be in the water or very close to it. So we might not have the best view going forward, but we'll try to enjoy what we can find anyways. Over to our right on this little island, these are the pink-back pelicans. Their backs really are pink, so is the underside of their wings, but during their mating season, the top of their beaks will turn pink as well. They're also colonial nesters, meaning they nest in pairs, ranging from 20 to 500. And they'll nest in trees with mom and dad using their feet to keep the eggs warm. They can also fly 24 hours straight without needing to stop. It's actually pretty cool because they're one of the heaviest flying pelicans at roughly 15 pounds. to our left, this is a Nile crocodile. The Nile crocodile is one of the largest freshwater crocodiles, roughly 16 feet long and 500 pounds. They eat about half their own body weight in one setting, and even then that's not enough for them. They go back for seconds. They're also capable of laying eggs. They'll put the eggs in their mouths and then roll them around to help them hatch. But they also put the eggs in their mouths if there's a really danger nearby. It's usually temperature that determines whether or not the eggs are boys or girls. The warmer the temperature, the more likely they're boys. The colder the temperature, the more likely they're girls. On our right, this is a baobab tree. Baobab trees are also called upside down trees because they look upside down. But at the top are natural branches, not roots. Baobabs will go up to about 9 months without leaves. They store all the water they need inside their trunk to ensure survival. It will also ensure survival for some of the animals that live in the savannah, which we'll soon be entering. You'll probably recognize quite a few of the animals that live out here, but there'll probably be a few that you don't recognize. And I'll keep pointing them out as we go along. Although if you kind of look over to the very far right, you might be able to make out that Maasai giraffe over there. Yeah. Now if you look above your heads, you'll see that that animal spotting guide above you says that these are supposed to be reticulated giraffes, and originally they were when we first opened the reserve, but we just switch them out every now and then. Now, a good way to tell the difference between the two is the type of patterns they have. So Maasai giraffes have a bit of a messier pattern to them. They don't look the exact same as one another. Meanwhile, reticulated giraffes, their pattern is a little bit more uniform. They look very, very similar. However, both patterns are very net-like, helping them to blend in the trees and bushes more. That way they can have their own form of camouflage. Also, both will be referred to as a tower. Makes a lot of sense. They're very tall and they tower over just about everything. When giraffes are first born, they have a 6-foot drop due to how tall mom is. The drop will shock them into taking their very first breath, and within an hour they're off walking. Also on the right, there's some springboks over here, along with the wildebeest, and the cooling cows are a little bit further back with those giraffes too. Now, springboks are one of the smallest antelopes at roughly 33 inches, but they're incredibly good jumpers. They get about 9 feet high into the air and 13 feet across. Plus, they can run up to about 55 miles per hour. They're also incredibly social. They'll usually live in herds of roughly 100. A group of wildebeest is called a herd, but they're also called a confusion. Because the predators come by, they'll run around the predator trying to confuse them. The herd is incredibly large. It's actually one of the largest herds for mammals, ranging from 100,000 to 1 million. And they have a really cool way of keeping track of one another. They have zinc glands at the very bottom of their feet and a good sense of smell. So they'll sniff the ground, follow their nose, and find the rest of the herd easily when they're separated. Over to our left, that's the African painted dog sitting down in front of the cave, and there are a few more inside of it. Painted dogs get their names because it looks like their coats have been painted on. And each painted dog has a unique coat specific to them, the same way we have unique specific fingerprint. Unlike domesticated dogs, they don't bark or howl, they make a high-pitched chirping noise, and they have 4 toes on their paws instead of 5. They're also incredibly good hunters because they use a relay system. The adults go out, split into 2 teams, then they switch between one another, ensuring they're not getting tired, but their prey is. Also to the left, there are sable antelopes a little bit further back by the trees. Sables turn that darkish brown color as they get older, and they live in pretty small herds. If the herd ever gets too large, they branch off into smaller ones again. Sables are led by dominant male and female alpha. The male decides that it's time for them to migrate, but the females determine where they go and how they get there. Now coming up, we'll be getting a really nice view of the Maasai giraffes here, along with the Ankole kettles. It's pretty rare to really see giraffes sitting down, especially when they're out in the wild. They mainly stand because it protects them from predators. Even when they need to sleep, they sleep standing up. Granted, giraffes don't need a lot of sleep. They'll nap for about 30-ish minutes, and that's really it for them for the whole day. They're also a keystone species. That means that they play a pivotal role to their ecosystem that role being pollinators. Because they're so tall, they collect pollen at the very top of their heads, and they pass it from tree to tree. Speaking of the top of their heads, those aren't horns at the top is a bone called ossicle. Both male and female giraffes have them, but male copies will have them as well. Earlier, I mentioned that both giraffe and okapi have incredibly long tongues. But what I didn't really mention is that their tongues are prehensile. That means that they're capable of grabbing things with their tongues the same way we grab things with their fingers. Their tongues are also purple because they develop a natural coating to them, ensuring they're not getting sunburned since they do spend quite a bit of time eating throughout the day. Now we'll also be seeing the Ankole cattle. There's one actually poking their heads out over here to our right bushes. But we have a few more over here to our left. Ankole cattle have incredibly large horns. They get anywhere between 5 to 6 feet long, and they hold blood circulation. Blood will circulate through their horns, then go down to the rest of their body, dispersing body heat. They're also called Watusi cattle because they were domesticated by the Watusi back in 4000 BC Egypt. Now something really cool about them is that they have a 4-chamber stomach that helps them digest food, but even then it still takes them roughly 3 to 4 days to process a meal. Back over to our right hand side with the tall grass, there are common elands over here. The eland is one of the largest antelopes at roughly 6 feet shoulder height, but they're not very fast runners. They'll usually get up to about 25 miles per hour. Male elands will run through bushes to get leaves on their horns, then prance in front of the females to impress them. The females will either be really impressed or they'll be really unimpressed. Then they knock the leaves off in a form of protection. To the far right, we'll be seeing some beside you. We'll be seeing African elephants. That's what I said. Elephants will travel in a herd called a matriarchy, and the eldest and largest female will be the one in charge. The males aren't always as social as the females, and sometimes they leave the matriarchy to live alone. In some other cases, they'll make a bachelor herd consisting of 2 or 3 male elephants max. While giraffes are definitely one of the tallest land animals, elephants will be one of the largest. The males get to about 13 feet tall, while the females get to about 10 feet. But they both weigh anywhere between 9 to 14,000 pounds. Elephants usually don't stop growing until they turn about 40 years old, which is super impressive because they can live to be about 70. Way through red clay pits, and they act as a form of vitamins for elephants. The elephants come over, get a little nibble to get the minerals inside, and are off on their way. So maybe we'll see a few more elephants as we keep going. If you look over to the left, it looks like there's an elephant hanging out there by the baobab trees. Earlier, I talked about how there's water from inside the baobab trees and like animals rely on it. Elephants are one of them. They'll take their tusk, poke it into the tree trunks, let the water flow out, and they'll drink up to 40 gallons of water in a day. They also have sensitive skin, just like we do. So they take mud or sand and fling it onto themselves, using it as a form of sunblock so that way they're not getting sunburned. They're also born with blood vessels inside their ears, so they plug their ears throughout the day to make sure that they're not getting overheated. to our left, these are the critter flamingos. You may notice that if you look a little grayish or not completely pink, but don't worry, they're fine. When flamingos are first born, they're born gray. It does take them roughly 2 years of eating brine shrimp for them to turn pink. It is due to the keratin found inside the shrimp. Although whenever they lose their feathers, they do have a tendency of being white. Coming up to our left, we'll be seeing some white rhinos. White rhinos are one of the largest African rhinos, usually weighing about 6,000 pounds. Black rhinos, on the other hand, get up to about 2,000, but they both have a 5 to 6 feet shoulder height. The reason we call them white is because it's a mispronunciation of the Afrikaans word white, which means wide. They were named for their wider upper lips. But just like us and the elephants, they have very sensitive skin, so they roll around in mud. That way they're not getting sunburned. It also helps them stay cool throughout the day and repel insects. They're also born without their horns. It will take a couple months up to a whole year for it to grow in, and even then the horns are still pretty small. They're also made out of compressed keratin, which is the same thing you can find in your hair and fingernails. Technically, rhinos see about 10 feet in front of them, so they really rely on their hearing to understand what's going on around them. It helps that the ears rotate in different directions from one another. That way they can get a good idea of what's going on around them. In most cases, they will decide that it's just safer to run away, and they are pretty good runners. They'll get up to about 30 to 35 miles per hour. It's a little hard to see, but over to our left there is a cheetah lying down on the hill. She's towards the middle. Cheetahs are one of the fastest flying animals around. They'll get up to about 70 miles per hour, though they only hold it for about 100 yards. They also have what looks like a little tear mark that goes from the corner of their eyes down to their cheeks. It reflects the sun to help them see where they're going. Unlike lions or tigers, cheetahs do not roar. They make the same noises as a house-dog cat, and a chirping noise very similar to a bird. They're also one of the only big cats that's able to retract their claws. We think that's part of the reason why they're so fast. We use that to their advantage to get good traction. There's a second one lying down towards the very bottom of the hill there.
Oh, it's over there. Look, alright.
There's a rock formation we're going to go around. It's called a cove. Some animals will spend time on it every now and then. That way they can see what's going on down below them. Now, I'm not seeing anything on the covey quite yet, but over to the right-hand side, I do see an ostrich walking around by the trees. The ostrich is one of the largest birds at roughly 8 feet tall. Unlike most birds, they cannot fly. They are pretty good runners though. They get up to about 40 miles per hour, though they do stick their wings out top of the balance. They also have the biggest eyes for birds. They're about 2 inches big in diameter, and they have thick eyelids and long eyelashes to keep dust out their eyes. They also have a reputation of putting their heads down into the ground if they feel frightened or in danger, but that's not true, nor does it make sense if you think about it. What they really do is put their heads close to the ground to seem smaller and less visible, but in most cases they'll run away. If you look back over to the right, you actually get a better view of the ostriches over there. It's a little hard to see, but if you look over to the left towards the bottom of the hill where the trees are in the grass, there are some warthogs right over there. They're really hard to see. There are also ostriches over to your right in the grass. Now, warthogs are very smart creatures. They find little holes down the ground and back them with their tusks facing outwards. That way, your predators come by, they're ready to defend themselves. They'll usually scavenge very early morning or very early evening to avoid as many predators as possible. Now, ostriches have a very hard shell. A grown adult can stand on one without the breaking. And they're pretty heavy too. One ostrich egg weighs about the same as 24 chicken eggs, which is roughly 3 to 4 pounds. We've reached our next stop, the Warden's outpost. The Warden's been taking care of Nigerian dwarf lately. They make for pretty good pets as long as you have the right amount of space for them. Overall, they're incredibly playful. They like to run, jump, headbutt one another. All of this helps them reach maturity. They also provide goat's milk, which is healthier than cow's milk. Their bellies are also pretty big considering how small they are. That's because they're born with 4 compartments in their stomachs, help them digest rough and harsh foods. That was the last stop for our safari, which means our safari is almost over. If you're looking to see more animals, you can always come back to Kilimanjaro Safaris. No 2 safaris will be exactly the same. You might see something you didn't see this time around. You can also make your way over to the Grove Falls Exploration Trail. It's a self-guided tour. There you'll see gorillas, hippos, meerkats, and rocks. There's also a bird aviary. Or you can make your way over to the Maharaja Jungle Truck in Asia. There you'll see tigers, Komodo dragons, fruit bats, and water buffaloes. If you have a stroller, wheelchair, or scooter, you can take those with you on the trails. Just keep in mind the trails close up earlier than the rest of the marketing animals. In just a few moments, I'm going to drop you all off and go off for your next adventure. So double check your routes, make sure you have all your personal belongings with you. If there were wilderness explorers on board, your code to get your badge is symbol 1. Again, that's symbol 1. As you're leaving the safari, look for somebody with an orange bag on and they'll give you your safari badge. Now, it looks like the Warden's almost ready for us to make our way up, which means it's time for you all to go. Here in Harambe, we don't really say goodbye. It's far too sad and far too final. Instead, we like saying Kwaherini, which means to go well. So Kwaherini, everyone, go well and go wild, but most importantly, go enjoy the rest of your day wherever it takes you. And make sure you're staying hydrated out there, too. Watch your hands, arms, feet, and legs just sliding open. Watch your step as you exit. Have a great day out there.